The first thing I remember is the game that I love. A man on a diamond with a golden glove. Daddy with me in the cheap seats above saying...
Welcome to the Two Cutoff Men, the podcast dedicated specifically to the Cincinnati Adult Baseball League. I'm Jason Earhart, along Colt 45's first baseman Ray Sterling as we recap the week that was, the week ahead, and all things CABL.
Let's count down together.
And thanks again for listening to the Two Cutoff Men. For more information about our league, you can visit our Facebook page by searching Cincinnati Adult Baseball League. And you can check out our league website at www.CincyABL.com. That's Cincy with a Y. You can find stats, standings, rosters, schedules, and all kinds of good stuff on there. With that, I'd like to welcome in our co-host, who is also the show's executive producer and longtime Cincinnati Colt 45 veteran, Ray Sterling. And Ray, not only welcome to the podcast, but welcome home. You spent a lot of last week down in the Lone Star State.
Yeah, I had to spend a few days down there doing some work and stuff for my work. So didn't get much rest, didn't get to look around too much, but we spent 5 days down in Corpus Christi. So glad to be home and get a little bit of rest and ready to get back.
All right, back at it for episode 3, and we had a lot of listeners again last week. I've seen over 200 between the 2 weeks combined, and I got a lot of good feedback this week. I was talking with John Cattleman of Deerfield today, and he said it was the talk of their dugout on Wednesday, and I figure that's lofty praise considering the fact they had a no-hitter that night.
Oh, wow, that was a nice one. But yeah, especially overdo a no-hitter. Hey, I'll take that any day. But I'm glad that people are liking this, and hopefully it continues to grow, and we continue getting more and more. Looking at the stats and seeing how many people are checking us out there, it's looking good. So maybe we're doing something a little right, and as we get this thing a little clean and add a little to it, it'll it'll perk it up some more. So.
Absolutely. Well, lots of baseball to talk about, Ray. We did not play Sunday, and I think we touched on it last week. If we did play Mother's Day, well, it would probably be our last game. The wives, girlfriends, mothers, not going to be happy with that. But we did get some games in on Wednesday, and I tell you what, the good thing about it this time of year now, I know you're a high school coach. I do a lot of high school baseball on the radio. It's tournament time, which is good for the kids, but it's also good for the fact that those fields that we use are starting to open up, which means more playing for us.
That's it. So yeah, unfortunately, hopefully, some of the guys that are tied to some of the high school teams and are getting to move on and play more baseball. But as they drop off, it opens up more fields. So that's always a good thing.
And that's always a good thing for us as we get more baseball in. We said, Sunday was one of those days that we don't play because of Mother's Day. We were able to get some games in on Wednesday night. There were 7 of them in all. And we kind of teased in the beginning there. I think we'll start right off the bat. There was a game right up at Testerman Park where the Dragons in Deerfield were playing a makeup from week 1. And it turned out to be a pretty special night for Chad Hafler of Deerfield. He broke into the league 6 years ago as a member of the Dragons. Now he's played for Deerfield the last few seasons. And a special night for him. He threw a no-hitter with 13 strikeouts. I mean, it has to be a thrill not only to throw a no-hitter, but to do it against your former team. What a night.
Yeah, no kidding. What a way to come back and, have to face your former team and be able to throw a no-hitter. That adds a little bit of icing onto that cake. So 13 strikeouts, it looks pretty daggone good. So that's definitely going to be a good performance for possible player of the week there on that one.
I think Chad would be a good candidate for that, for certain. And, one of the other things, Ray, when you look at some of these scores early in the season, and I think it's an old adage in baseball, but it is true. It seems like at least early in the year, the pitchers seem to be ahead of the hitters.
Yeah, it's going to take a little while for guys to get their timing back and be able to get in there and look at some of the pitches, see different things. So the pitchers, I think, definitely have a little bit of advantage. And, as the season goes on, as we get to see the pitchers multiple times, the guys are going to go ahead and be able to get in there and hit some more balls. But, I think the pitchers at the very beginning of the season get the advantage. The hitters just trying to get back into the swing of things a lot of times. So we'll give one out to the pitchers, which I won't complain about since I'm one of those.
You are a paying member of the Pitchers Union as well. So I guess you have to kind of toe the line there, I guess, from both sides. I can tell you one place where the pitchers were ahead of the hitters, too, was my game on Wednesday night at Crosley. We had to face Jeff Muse of the Reds in our first game. We hadn't had as much as a practice game. A lot of guys I hadn't seen since late March because of the rain. Not exactly how we wanted to start the season. And for about 4 innings, Muse was on target, struck out 7 guys, just mowing us down. I think we had 1 base runner, but finally came to life there in the 5th inning. We put up a 5 spot and got another 5 on the bullpen the next inning and able to come out of there with a 10-3 win. So I was certainly happy with the win the other night. Always good when you can get a win on opening day and against a tough Reds team. And Jeff Muse, we were very fortunate to get out of there with a W. You were not able to make your game on Wednesday night at North College Hill. I think you still had some responsibilities over there at Highlands as a coach, but your team, the victim of an upset against the Orioles, much improved, apparently, Orioles team.
I was looking at that game, and of course I got some text and wanted to get the feedback from the guys. Yeah, I had to coach our regional game over at Highlands on Wednesday night, so I was not able to make our game. And I saw the score 6-4. Asked the guys how things went, what things look, how the team looked, the Orioles, and they said that they were much more improved. They added a few new guys, and they gave them fits. Sounds like we didn't play as well as we should have. And I know we've lost Kevin Wren, it looks like, for some of the season with playing in the field with the shoulder injury. So,
oh no, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, not too good. But the Orioles came out and played and took us down 6-4. So hopefully we'll be able to bounce back. Again, I'm going to miss a game on Sunday against the Mudcats, which that's one game I hate to miss because that is against some of our other teammates from Florida, and I'm going to miss playing those guys. But I'll be back and ready to go on Wednesday. So
absolutely, and I have to give credit to the Caston brothers, Andrew running that team with the Orioles. A couple of years ago, he was on that team. There was another gentleman running that wasn't run so well. They had a winless season. Kind of a mess, but he's regrouped. Was able to keep some of the core guys, and he's added to it. And I think that might be one of the surprise teams this year. So definitely a shout out to the Orioles for a big performance in Week 1. And we know the Colt 45s will bounce back, a battle-tested team with over 20 wins the last couple of years. I'm sure you guys will be just fine, but I think those games, right, they happen to everybody. Unless your name is the Hooks, everybody runs in a couple games like that a season.
That's it. It's usually the other way around for the Hooks. They run into that maybe 1 or 2 bad games a year. So yeah. So hopefully some guys are gonna be out there, be ready to play, and be able to go at the top echelon of the league. Colts, we'll be back. We'll not a big problem there. Take one down early on in the season. We'll bounce back from that and be up there challenging. So just as well as you guys are, and we see some of the other teams. Mudcats, again, that's going to be a tough one on Sunday. I saw Mudcats beat the Knights 14-0 on the other night. So big night for them, and something we got to look out for on come Sunday.
Yeah, speaking of the Mudcats and Knights, a couple teams you're pretty familiar with, Jeremy Allen, you've got A.J. Wilson, a couple of guys that go down on the Florida trip that become Colt 45s in October for the Florida trip. Jeremy with a pair of hits the other night, and A.J. 5 scoreless innings, and that's a pretty good start for those guys. Yeah,
those guys are nice guys, good ball players. Jeremy, also Rich out there that is a pitcher for the Mudcats, and A.J. new to joining the Colts this past year and went down with us down in Florida. So AJ, a good guy, good ball player. So nice to see those guys do well. Hopefully they don't do well on Sunday, but nice to see AJ getting out there throwing some. Jeremy seeing the 2 for 3. So that's a good night for those guys.
Absolutely. And another game that happened on Wednesday involving a couple of heavyweights in the league, a couple of teams that certainly have aspirations to making it to the finals this year, the Meridians and the Hustle, and a game that you knew would be scarce, teams that have good pitching and defense, and the Meridians come out of there with a 4-0 win. Nate Carell with a 3-hit shutout, and looks like the Meridians have picked up where they left off last year.
Yeah, they bounced back too. Wasn't it? Was it Week 1? They lost to the Reds in a close game.
And at 14, yeah.
Yeah, then to bounce back and beat the Hustle. So that just tells you about how the league's going to be this year, and it's going to be tight. So Meridian's good win coming off and playing against the Hustle there. Hustle's always got a good team, tough. So that's a good win for them.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you there's 10, 11 teams deep that can darn near beat anybody at the top. It's just going to be like that the entire year. One other game that happened the other night, the Bulls knocked off the Sting by a final score of 11-1. One of the candidates we'll have for Player of the Week certainly would be a candidate there. The Bulls catcher Tyler Shunk, grand slam, 6 RBIs. He had a big night, and the combination of Ray Sauer, Scott Brothers, able to hold the Sting to just one hit. And those guys, certainly top-notch pitchers. It looks like the Bulls will certainly be a force to contend with again this year. And the final game of the night involved another team you're very familiar with from back in the Dayton days, the Dayton Braves. They get their first win of the season. They knock off the Flying Tigers by a final score of 16-3. And Scott Sizemore, a nice job with 3 solid innings and getting the win there. And the Braves taking advantage of some free passes by the Flying Tigers.
What a way to come back. And last week after taking one down and come back, put a 16 spot up on the board and be able to get that win. That's a big job done there out there by the Dayton Braves. So again, as we talked last week, touching back on it, Braves are going to be tough as they go on. So that was a real big showing there to come out and take down the Flying Tigers with that score. So looked at that. They had some good pitching, it looks like, that night. So.
And that was the game that was played after mine out at Crosley. I stayed to hang out and watch, and I noticed Braves first baseman Greg Martin up there filming the game. And that's a trend I want to talk about here. There's a couple guys that do it in the league, and I gave him a little unsolicited play-by-play in the third inning. Nothing that we can replay here on a family program, but Greg videotaping that game. Dave Rink of the Reds does a tremendous job. If you get a chance, check out the league's Facebook page. The Reds-Yankees game is on there. Dave goes back and edits everything down. He puts the score in. You see the inning. He does a terrific job. It's almost like a professional production up there. He does that for every single Reds game. I urge you to go check it out. And I saw the Orioles were putting their game live on Facebook the other night. Got some video of that. Saw some video of the Mudcats game on there. But Ray, it's pretty cool that in this day and age with the technology being how it is, you can go back and check out some of these games. I would have never, if you'd have told me this 10, 15 years ago, I would have thought there's no way we could get these games recorded.
Yeah, it's unbelievable with the technology we have nowadays. Facebook, with doing the Facebook Live, with guys can use their phones, especially with the cameras on the phone nowadays for the video. And the GoPros that are out there, it makes it a lot easier for you to chug things around instead of having to come out with a big giant video camera and things like that. So having the GoPros, having the phones give us a lot of options out there, and it is good to see that. I saw the same thing you were just talking about. I went out and saw the Mudcats game, and AJ Wilson was actually doing that one on live on Facebook. And then I did see a live thing with the Orioles playing my team, so I was in there trying to check that out a little bit too. So it's neat to see that, and hopefully we can get some more videos and maybe get into what I'd like to see is maybe you and I could team up and do the All-Star game or something this year, and we'll try to get some of those out there. That'd be kind of cool.
There you go. That would be pretty neat. That's certainly something to look at down the road. And you talk about, guys doing that and participating. Again, for the guys listening, if you have any suggestions for us, anything you'd like to hear or see or do, or if you just want to send in those videos, we're more than happy to put them up on the Facebook page. The more we can spread the word and get these things out on social media, I think the more fun it is for everybody.
Yeah. And I like what Doug's doing with I believe you said it was Doug that was doing some of the graphics and things like that for our website, and had some of the scores down with looks like professional baseball looking scores, things like that. That's kind of neat. So it'd be nice to be able to get some of that stuff going and just keep it up, especially with new guys coming into the league, younger guys coming into the league, being able to bring in some of that technology and things like that. It makes it a lot of fun to be out there and be involved in this.
Absolutely. Well, we just recapped the 7 games, Ray, since we didn't have the Sunday. There were only 7 to go over. Next week, barring any rain or anything crazy, we should have 20 ball games to go over. But amongst those 7, I'm looking at a few good candidates for player of the week, and I'll run a couple by you. I mentioned Tyler Shunk, the Bulls catcher with the grand slam, the 6 RBIs, big game for him. Nate Carell of the Meridians, 3-hit shutout against a really good hustle team. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Chad Hafler of Deerfield,